Facility booking services. So let's go back through and take a closer look at our calendar structure. Currently we have two levels, category and calendar. The category, administrative and maintenance, and then we have calendars for administrative bookings and maintenance bookings. If we select into one of these calendars, we have our service level. In this case, admin booking location 1, admin booking location 2, and admin booking location 3. Under maintenance, we have maintenance booking 1, maintenance booking 2, and maintenance booking for location 3. Generally speaking, we do not create services that are location based because the system gives you filtering options to do so on your own. That's why when we go down to room bookings, we only have meeting rooms and multi-purpose rooms. There could be 18 meeting rooms in your organization spread out over 4 different locations. But we don't need to have a service that says meeting rooms location 1, location 2, location 3, location 4, because the booking tools allow us to filter by location. However, administrative and maintenance calendars are created a little bit differently. The main reason is because there is a sheer large number of possible facilities. So if I simply had one calendar for administrative and maintenance, which is possible, and one service called maintenance and one service called administrative, I would have to put every facility in the organization under that one service, which there is no issue if you have few facilities, rooms, fields, ball fields. If you only have 20 or 30 facilities in the whole organization that are rentable and that you want to make bookings on, or even if they're not rentable, used for program registration, and you need to put blocks, maintenance blocks or administrative blocks on them, you could make one calendar that combines both administrative and maintenance, and you could simply have one service for maintenance, one service for administrative, and add all facilities to the organization to those services, so that when you click on them, you would see all facilities and you would make the reservations accordingly. However, if the organization is a little bit larger, you may want to create services under maintenance or administrative or both for each location. Again, these are internal bookings, and we've colored the calendars red accordingly so people know that these events on the calendars are either administrative or maintenance. Going down to facility booking under room rentals, this is more the common case. Now remember, we had facility booking as the category, room rental as the calendar, and then underneath we have meeting rooms and multi-purpose rooms. Those are the services, and that's what we're going to be looking at next. How do we create services? Well, the first thing you want to do is scroll over to the gear icon and select Manage Services. So again, for your reference, we're at Facilities, Reserve Facilities. On this screen, go to the gear icon and select Manage Services. Under Manage Services, you'll see a similar table to other places in Perfect Mind. You should be accustomed to this design by this point. We have views to the left and the data to the right. Here we have all of the services in the organization. Now, services relate to multiple items. Services could be for activity calendars, facility booking calendars, or memberships. So for the sake of this conversation, we will only be talking about facility booking services. And when we do program registration activities and memberships, we'll refer back to those again later. So let's take a look at a basic setup for facility booking services. I'm going to scroll down to meeting rooms because that's one that's already been set up. Now here you have a few options. You can delete the service, you can edit the service, or you can clone it. Clone is a very handy tool that you'll see in different places of the database. If you create this service and then the next service that you require only needs a name change and maybe the different facilities, you can simply clone this, change the name, remove these facilities, change them to different facilities, and then save again. The clone feature can be found in various parts of the database and is very convenient for data entry. Let's click Edit. So there's various boxes that contain information. I'm going to break these down so we can take a little bit closer look at them individually. The first one is service information, then we have booking setup, prerequisites, which is actually for program reg. So we're not going to really need that one yet. Fees and extras, and GL accounts. Let's look at them in more detail. Service. Service is where we enter the name. Meeting rooms. This is the name of the service. Let me scroll back to the calendar. That's what appears here. Meeting rooms. That is the name of the service. Then we have show to. If any of these rooms are going to be displayed for online reservation, then this needs to be shown to public. Note that each individual facility here, meeting room 1, meeting room 2, and meeting room 3, also has a setting on it that will say if that facility should be displayed online for online facility booking, or if it should not, just for admin facility booking. However, if all three of these said yes, 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 but this was set to staff, they would not be online. If this is set to public, and this said yes, yes, no, then only the two that are said yes will still display online. However, if this is set to staff, none of these will show up online. We'll put this back to public. We have an image and a description. The image and the description for facility booking services are not displayed online at this time. However, it would be good practice to enter a decent description of your meeting rooms in general, as well as an image, potentially an organization logo, in these two fields. And the main reason for that is, if Perfect Mind decides in the future to change the online facility booking setup and use these fields information, I would prefer the organization have a basic setup rather than have to go back and re-enter information. Questionnaire. Well, we'll get into questionnaires a little bit more detail later on, and I believe we've already discussed them once in regards to products. However, a questionnaire is a questionnaire that we attach to a facility booking, and we can create one here. We'll get into that a little bit more detail with program reg, and you can refer back to it from over here. Facilities. This is one of the most important fields. These are the facilities that relate to this service, meeting rooms. So in this case, we have meeting room 1. You can see it's at the Perfect Mind Community Center. Meeting room 2, also at the Perfect Mind Community Center. And meeting room 3, still at the Perfect Mind Community Center. This is where we put all of the rooms that we want to rent, because this is a facility booking calendar service. There's no need in adding any facilities, any rooms that we don't intend to rent. This is only for booking purposes. So anything that's added here should be bookable. Additionally, these facilities don't have to be only for one location. If you have 4 locations with 3 meeting rooms, you would simply put meeting room 1, 2, and 3 for location 1, meeting room 1, 2, and 3 for location 2, meeting room 1, 2, and 3 for location 3, and etc., and the same for 4. If you click in this field, you can simply scroll through and select the facilities that you want and simply add them accordingly. If you want to take a facility away, simply come into the service and remove them. As easy as that. The last field is staff. Staff is related to program registration and is not related to facility booking, so it can be disregarded at this point. So the next area is booking setup. So let's open that up and scroll down. The first thing here is allow online withdrawal. This is for program registration. It's not relevant to facility booking at this time. However, future development will allow you to withdraw from facility booking as well. So this can be disregarded. The next is online pay mode. This is kind of self-explanatory. Do we pay now or do we pay later? This, of course, is only relevant if you're using a full registration process that requires payment. Generally speaking, we leave it at pay now. Then we have the start every minutes, or setup time and takedown. Start every minutes defines how many minutes the next event will show up on the calendar. So example, if this facility has a start time of 6 a.m. and goes to 8 p.m., the first availability will be at 6 a.m. Because this is set to 120 minutes, the next availability will be 8 a.m., 10 a.m., 12 p.m., 2 p.m., 4 p.m., 6 p.m., and then no more because the facility closes at 8. This by default is set to 30 minutes, and it should stay that way, unless you want to allow 15, 5, or 10-minute blocks. Let me show you what it looks like on the reservation side online. So currently it was set to 120 minutes. Let me navigate over to the online reservation, which is open in a different tab. You'll note here, if I scroll down, first, there is no image yet to this facility. We don't have a picture for meeting room 1. We haven't gotten to that yet because we haven't done setup of facilities yet. The facility hours are currently set to 24 hours, so they're available 24 hours a day, Monday through Sunday. If I scroll down, you'll see the booking blocks. This is what we're concerned about right now. You'll see 12 a.m., 2 a.m., 4 a.m., 6 a.m., 8 a.m., because these are 120-minute blocks. They start at the time that they start, which is 12 a.m., and they go every 2 hours. That can be adjusted by changing this amount. If I change this to 60 minutes and click Save, when I go back over to the booking engine here and reload, you'll see 12 a.m., 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m. And here we go, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4. And it scrolls all the way down. Now, generally speaking, we will not start at 12 a.m. We'll start something more reasonable, probably at 6 or 7 a.m., and will not go to midnight necessarily in every situation. So this field will collapse and become a little bit smaller. If I change this to, let's say, 30 minutes, you'll see what happens accordingly. And again, just as it's expected, you'll get more booking blocks. 30 minutes, click Save, and when I go back over here, refresh the screen, you'll note that now it's 12, 12:30, 1, 1:30, 2, 2:30, etc. That is what happens with this starts every field. Again, this also relates only to online reservation. On the admin side, you can make the booking whenever you want. I'm going to go back to edit. The next field is setup and takedown time. If you want to block a certain amount of minutes before and after each of these rentals, you would simply enter that amount here. So if I say 15 and 15, then what happens is for every rental, there'll be a 15-minute block before and after. And that is for any rental that is made for any of these facilities in the meeting rooms. If you don't want booking blocks, you simply leave these at 0 or keep them blank. If there is specific setup or takedown instructions related to all of the facilities in this service, you could enter them here. And then what happens is those setup and takedown instructions will be automatically added. This again is used only if the same setup and takedown instructions are used for every facility in this service. Generally not a typical business case, but it is possible. So the first one here is setup instructions, and the second one is takedown instructions, and the last one is conditions of use. Like setup and takedown instructions, conditions of use gives you the ability to set a specific condition of use that's individual to any booking, these rooms, that are done in this service. So if you have a condition of use that says that you're not allowed to smoke inside meeting rooms, then you could put that under the service under conditions of use, and then whenever a booking is made through meeting rooms in one of these facilities, it would automatically be put on the contract. Alternatively, you can do the same thing on the individual facility level and disregard the conditions of use on the service level. That is a personal preference. Or lastly, when making the reservation, you can simply add that condition of use on your own to the contract after the fact. And lastly, if it's a condition of use that's used throughout the organization for every rental, you would put it directly onto the contract and not put it here because it doesn't need to be here. It's on every contract all the time. It's simply added to the document. The next field is registration notes. This is not used for facility booking. This is for program registration, so it can be disregarded. Agreement document allows you to select the specific agreement document that's used for this type of rental. So, because this is a meeting room, and these are meeting rooms, so this is a meeting room service, and these are meeting rooms, you can create a specific facility booking document that's for meeting rooms only. What you would do here is select that document so it's automatically selected when making an online reservation. The next area is online min, online max, and online max sessions period. So online min sessions, online max sessions, and online max sessions periods. This allows you to limit the number of bookings an individual can make. An example for this would not be necessary for meeting rooms, but for tennis courts. You want to limit people to a certain number of tennis courts. So you can say the online minimum number is 1, the online max or no value, and the online maximum value is 5. And it's either per booking, per day, per week, or per year. Or simply currently active. So if you say per week, that means a person can only make up to 5 reservations of, let's say, tennis courts per week. If you want to limit them to just what's currently active, have it currently active. That means they're only allowed to make 5 tennis court reservations. Until one is concluded and finished, they can't make another one. Once that one is no longer active, they now drop down to 4, and they can make another reservation. That's what these fields require. Generally speaking, it's usually either currently active or per week. And again, it allows you to regulate how often a person is allowed to make bookings so that they don't take every space available from other individuals. It creates more fairness for online reservations for high demand items. Enforce full weekend is used for online registration. Enforce full weekend is used for campsite registrations. If this is turned on, then what happens is it allows you to force an individual to rent a full weekend or a full holiday. This will be described in a little bit more detail with a future video related to campsite setup and reservations. The next 2 fields, Enforce Anywhere, Enforce Anyone, is related to appointment booking and not facility booking, so it will be disregarded. Check-in, check-out, and overnight reservations are also related to campsites facility booking and will be addressed in a future video. As we continue down the list, the booking starts in, ends in, and displays in is related in this case to appointment bookings. So this will be disregarded. There is a similar setup for facility booking on the on each facility, which we'll explain in more detail when we talk about facilities. The next area is prerequisites. This is where we add prerequisites to activity registration. Because this is a facility booking service, we can disregard this. But when we deal with activity registration, activity services, we'll look at this in more detail. However, for the purpose of facility booking, we can disregard. The next 2 areas are fees and extras and GL accounts. This gets a little bit more complex, and we'll actually be talking about fees in a separate video on its own in a few moments. However, for a brief look over, let's look at what these settings are. The first thing you'll see is Use Facility Fee checkbox. Perfect Mind has the ability to set up the fee on the service, which is what we're working on right now, or the facility. If all the facilities are attached to a service, have the same fee, we don't have to enter the fees in here, and in here, and in here, and potentially another 35 times, if they're the exact same fees. We could simply say, uncheck this, and we can simply create the fee structure here, and it would be the same fee structure used for all of these. However, in the case in which each of these facilities have their own fees, this one is $8 an hour, this one is $10 an hour, this is $14 an hour, then we would enter the fees at the facility level, here, here, and here, which we'll get to in a few moments. And on the service level, we simply need to tell the service, use the facility fees, don't use these fees. And we click on that. And then the rest of the information disappears. The same is true for extras. If each facility can use the exact same extras, then we can simply add those extras here at the service level. Once I uncheck that, you'll notice that extra appears here, and we can simply go through the system and add either a membership, a product, or equipment as an extra. However, if each of these facilities has their own unique extras, then we would simply add those extras on the facility level and tell the service, no, we're not going to use extras on the service level. Look to the facility. You'll find them there. Payment plans are added as well on the service level, not the facility level. So if you want people to be able to use payment plans, once you've created your payment plans in the general settings, which was the first series of videos, you'd simply come here and add the payment plans to the system. Now these current ones are program registration payment plans, but you would add them like this. If you want them online, you can select which one you want online, or simply remove them. Again, we'll get into payment plans and fees shortly. Traditionally, the majority of fees and extras are on the facility level and these are selected. However, if you do have the case in which the fees are exactly the same across all facilities that are attached to a service, you do have the option to enter the fees at this level. The next area is GL accounts. GL accounts is generally always selected on the facility level. And the reason for that is though you'll probably have one GL account for facility booking revenue, it'll be one GL account for facility booking revenue in each individual location. Because it's in each individual location, you can't just use one GL account. However, if your whole organization only used one revenue account for all facility booking that's related to meeting rooms across the entire organization, you could unselect this, go into the GLs that were in the system, scroll through, find the facility booking one that you want to attach it to. In this case, there isn't a facility booking, but there is a general revenue, I believe. There it is. I'll select that one. And now any reservation made at any one of these facilities through this service would automatically go into this revenue account. However, if these three facilities were at three different locations and each location had its own facility booking revenue account, we would simply put the GL at this level on the facilities and select GL on facility. Lastly, under GL, we also have our deferred revenue account. It is a required field, so if you don't have a deferred revenue account, simply use the default one in the system, deferred revenue facility booking. But if you are set to cash-based accounting, though it's required, it will not be used. Once you've completed that, simply click Save. I'm going to set this back up onto the facility side. So let's review this. I'm simply going to click Cancel, stopping any changes that I've made. Go back into the service. So again, to get to services, through the system, Gear, Manage Services. That will open up a new tab. Under this tab, either select New or a pre-existing service. This time I'll select New. Now remember, we created a new area, a new counter called Sports Field Rentals that doesn't have any services. Well, let's make one called Baseball Fields. Baseball Fields. We give it a name. We want to rent these online, so I'm going to select Public. A description and an image is highly recommended. However, I don't have an image of a baseball field on this computer, so I'll forgo that at the moment. Descriptions and images on services for facility booking are not displayed online, so they are not required. But it does need to be noted that for program registration, they are, and it's very, very recommended. The service type here is facility booking, and that simply helps us filter the list so that we find exactly what we're looking for. Questionnaire we'll get to a little bit later with Program Reg. We select the facilities that are related to baseball fields. Now currently there aren't any facilities that are baseball fields in this database, so we'd have to make them first or make them after the fact and then come here and add them. I'll select Court A and Court B just as an example so you can see. Staff are not related to facility booking, they're related to program reg, so this field can be disregarded. Moving on. This is related to program reg, we'll keep it as pay now, and we want bookings to be made every 30 minutes. The setup time, we can say we want for every booking, we want 15 minutes before and after automatically blocked. These are not paid. This is simply a block before and after the actual rental time. I can add setup, takedown, or conditions of use if I want. Registration notes relates to program registration and not facility booking. For online facility booking, I select the document that I want. We'll get into making documents a little bit later. All facility booking agreements and documents will be displayed in this list if they've been created. You'll notice that there's two defaults, one's a summary and one's a full length. Online min and max allows you to stop people from overbooking one individual. So let's say the max is 1, the min is 1, the max is 3, and it's currently active. So when making a booking online, the key is online, I would be limiting clients to be able to make 3 bookings max through the baseball field service. Enforce full weekends is related to campsites, which we'll deal with in a different video series. Enforce anywhere and anyone is appointment booking, which we'll deal with at a future time. Check-in, check-out, overnight reservations is campsites, what we don't have to deal with right now, and the rest of this is also for appointment booking and or campsites. The next area is prerequisites. Again, facility booking doesn't have prerequisites, so we can disregard this entire section. If the fees are on the facility level, we simply do this checkbox, and now we'll be looking at Court A and Court B for the fees. However, if Court A and B and all facilities share the same fees, we can remove this, add the fees at this level, which we'll get to in a few moments. However, if this is selected, we look at the facility level. Traditionally, this is selected because each specific location has its own individual fee structure. But if the fees were exactly the same, we could put them on the service. Extras, again, we can add extras at the service level if they're all the same for every facility attached to this service, or we can simply defer it to the facility level. Payment plans, any payment plans that relate to these reservations need to be added to the service. There is no payment plan selection on the facility level. It is entered here. And if you want them displayed online, simply select online. The last here is GL. If every facility in the service, these here, go to the same GL, you can add the GL on the facility level, on the service level. Simply select the GL account that you require and a deferred revenue account. If you're not using deferred revenue, you still are required to select one. Just note that because you're not using deferred revenue, you're cash-based, it would not be used. If, however, these facilities have individual GL accounts because this Court A belongs to one location and this Court B belongs to another location, then you cannot have the GL account on the service level. It has to be on the facility level. Once that's complete, simply click Save. Now, assuming that everything's been done right, you won't get an error and the new service is created. Now that you've created a new service, you still have to add it to the calendar. So, if we go back to Facilities and Reserve Facilities, we can navigate down to that new calendar that we created called Sport Field Rentals, and you'll notice there's a little downward arrow here. If you select that downward arrow, go to Calendar Settings, you pop back into this screen which we saw when creating calendars and categories. You can now go to the service area and you can either scroll search or begin to write. In this case, I can write ball, and there's baseball. And then I can add additional services as required. So after you've created all your services that you need for sports field rentals, you can come in here and add the services to the calendar. Click Save, and once you've done that, now you have baseball fields under sport field rentals. In the next video, we'll be looking at setting up facilities. These facilities will then get attached to the services. So if we go back into Manage Services, you'll note that the facilities here, let me just go into New here, and under Facilities, you'll notice that of course not all the facilities that you require are in the system. So after you've created the service, you create the facilities, and you may have to navigate back to the service that you created and then add the appropriate facilities that you need, and then click Save again.